1.5 and 1.6 are combined together because both sections are about dividing whole numbers. All right, so we're going to start talking about a scenario. Suppose that you are going to lunch at Jersey Mike's and your total is, oops, let me get this here, is $18. And you need to divide this out among yourself and your two friends. So 3 people total are going to pay for this $18. So what you're going to see is we're going to pretend like this is a bag of lunch here because I can't draw very well. And if you click on your lecture notes, I tried to draw chips, a drink, and a sandwich, but we're just going to represent them with a bag in this scenario as I'm hand drawing them out. And so if I'm going to split this evenly, I find that $6 each is how I'm going to get this $18 paid for, because 18 is the whole here, and if I separate it out into 3 equal parts, I find that $6 each is how I'm going to get that $18 back, or how we're going to divvy it up to pay for it. All right, so you can write division problems in 3 different ways. The first way looks like this. 18 divided by 3 is 6. The second way is what we are used to calling long division. So this is going to be 3 goes into 18 6 times. 6 times 3 here is 18. We subtract and we get a remainder of 0. And the last way is in this fraction form, and it's 18 divided by, because this bar right here means divide, divided by 3, which equals 6. So these are the 3 ways that you can represent this, but this way down here is the most popular way that you're going to see division problems with a slash, or this fraction bar that you see right here, as you are working in more algebra heavy type courses. All right, we're going to go on to a couple of vocabulary terms. All right, so here's your vocabulary terms. The dividend in division problems is the number that's being divided. Divisor is the number divided by, and the quotient is the answer to the problem. So you can see here that the dividends can be found as a numerator inside of this fraction bar and as a first number in these scenarios. The divisor is the second number being divided, or it's the number that you're dividing into the dividend each time. So it's the number that comes second, comes on the outside, and as the denominator in the fraction form. The quotient's the answer in each one of them, and that's where you can find these here. Okay. So you need to be able to write a problem that's given to you in the other forms of division problems. So if 18 is divided by 6 and it gives you 3, you should also be able to write that 18 is divided by 6 gives you 3. And you should also be able to write that 18 divided by 6 is also 3. So you need to be able to recognize how to use the numbers in one scenario and where they go in each of the other setups. Okay? So let's try that again. What if they gave us a fraction form of 15 divided by 5 is 3? You would have to write 15 divided by 5 is 3, and 15 divided by 5, oh, I already did that one, didn't I? The last one is 15 divided by 5 is 3. So if you realize that this, and this is divided by, you could write them all out just having this first one. 15 divided by 5, 15 divided by 5, and you would know where things go because 15 divided by 5, because you would say them out loud as you went through them. All right, so dividing by zeros, or dividing zeros by a number. So let's say if you have no money or 0, and it's divided equally among 5 people, each person gets $0 or no money, right? Because if you had nothing to start with and you try to divide it among 500, you still have nothing. So that's something to remember. There's actually a rule for that. Okay, so let's see if I can type this out for you. Help you be able to see that. So the rule is if you have any number the number 0, divided by any non-zero number is always 0. So an example would be 0 divided by 12 equals 0. Or 0 divided by 1,728 is 0. 0 divided by 375 is 0. And 0 divided by 129 is still 0. So if your zeros come at the beginning when you have the division sign, or on top as a fraction, or inside as you have this division bar here, the answers are always 0. You can also write a division problem in as a multiplication problem. So let's look at this. I have 12 divided by 3 equals 4. If I leave the numbers in the same exact place and bring them down, 12, 3, and 4, I can move symbols around and I can write this as 3 times 4 equals 12. Okay, so if I try that again, I could write 20 divided by 4 equals 5. I leave the numbers in the same place and I can substitute out the symbols and plug in new ones, and 4 times 5 also gives me 20. So that's how you're going to write a division problem as a multiplication problem. So I told you on the screen before that if your zeros come first or in the numerator or inside, that your answer is 0. So let's practice that one more time, using those, changing a division problem into a multiplication problem. So let's say that 9 divided by 0 equals what? Well, if we leave our numbers in the same place and we change this around to a multiplication problem, we can say 0 times what gives me 9? Well, we know that anything times 0 is 0. So even if I plugged 9 in here, this should give me 0, right? So there's not an answer. I couldn't put anything here and multiply it by 0 to give me 9 as an answer. Okay? So what we see here is a problem that we call undefined. Okay, so let's try again. What if I have a problem that is 0 divided by 9? Well, remember, we can keep the same numbers in the same place, and we would know that this one would be something I don't know. I would change this around and put a multiplication sign here, and I could say that 9 times what gives me 0? Well, 9 times 0 gives me 0, so this answer is 0. This one up here did not work that way, so that's why we have an undefined. Okay? So problems that are undefined, just like you saw here. Undefined problems look like this. A denominator of 0. The divisor is always 0. It does not work. Every one of these are an answer of undefined. Okay? And the reason being that 0 cannot be a divisor. Sorry, my pages aren't flipping here very fast. Also, you can divide by 1. Or by itself. So let's try 16 divided by 16 gives me 1. And 16 divided by 16 gives me 1. And 16 divided by 16 also gives me 1. Ooh, that's bad handwriting, sorry. So a number divided by itself is 1. Dividing a number by 1 gives itself. So 5 divided by 1 is 5. 5 divided by 1 is 5, and 5 divided by 1 is 5. All right, so now that we've got the basics of division, let's talk about long division. Okay, so let's look at this next example. I have 147 divided by 4. We first ask ourselves, can our divisor of 4 go into 1 evenly? No. Can 4 go into 14? Yes. How many times? Well, 4 times 3 gives me 12, so that's as close as we're going to get without going over. So now I multiply 4 times 3 and I get 12. I subtract these 2 and I get a remainder of 2. I have another number I can bring down, so here's my 7, and now I'm asking myself, can 4 go into 27? And the answer is yes. It goes 6 times. 4 times 6 gives me 24. I'm going to subtract the 27 minus 24 and I get 3. Notice that there's no other numbers up here for me to bring down. So it means that the 3 is also a part of my answer. The quotient, the answer to our division problem, is 36 with a remainder of 3. So you can also write this as 36 with a big R and then 3. So both of these things are the correct answer. Okay, let's try another one. 7 divided into 1809. 7 does not go into 1, but 7 goes into 18 2 times. 2 times 7 is 14. I subtract and I get a remainder of 4. I bring down the 0, which is the next number that I haven't used yet, and 7 goes into 40 5 times. And notice that I'm writing my answer above the number that I just brought down. 5 times 7 is 35. I subtract and I get a remainder of 5. There's another number to bring down, so here I bring it down and I end up with 59. 7 times 8 gives me 56, and 56 is not going over that 59 that I have, so I subtract and I get a remainder of 3. I know it's my remainder because there's no other numbers to bring down. So the quotient is 258 and the remainder is 3. You could also write that 258 with a big R and then 3 across the top as your final answer. The other popular thing that you'll need to pull from my lecture notes, which is the PDF, it's in each unit, but for this one you want to click on the 1.5, 1.6 lecture notes, and you need to go to page 7 of the lecture notes, and you want to make sure that you copy down the divisibility rules. And then the following 2 pages are just some examples of making sure that you understand what numbers are divisible using what rules. So that's the last thing that you'll need to talk about or review before you look at your homework or your study plan for this unit.